Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Mortgage Coach Tuesday interview. Every Tuesday, 9 o'clock, I interview someone awesome. And today I'm interviewing someone especially awesome, Amber Kovarik. Welcome to the Mortgage Coach community, Amber.
Thank you so much for having me, Dave.
Yeah, no, it's awesome interviewing you. So, guys, when I first interviewed Amber for the first time, it's probably been a couple years. Although I think the first interview was from the stage at Guild when we kicked off Mortgage Coach. Was that the first time we did a live interview?
Yes.
Yeah, that was fun. And then I interviewed her for the YouTube channel last year, and it was the third most watched, highest rated interview of the year. So Amber, congratulations for that.
Thank you.
The bar is high for you right now.
I know, I feel it.
Yeah. And then we had you on Scriptopalooza. And you killed it. I think when we did the editing, your little clip was one of the most watched. So we're gonna redo that script. I think it was like what you tell the borrower when you lock in a rate. Is that the script?
Yes.
That you did? So we're gonna replay that. And guys, the way I want to frame today's interview, I want to frame it around going beyond the transaction, because I'm just gleaning at the conversations I've had with Amber in the past and what makes her so special. And what makes her so successful, and she goes beyond the transaction. Yes, she delivers a great mortgage experience. She closes loans on time. She's got competitive interest rates. Realtors trust her. But I think it's what she does beyond the mortgage transaction that makes her so special and so successful. And then I also want to frame today's interview around the news that's happening and around the movement that's happening in the mortgage industry. So I recently wrote an article on Quicken talking about, what I took away from reading their S1, and guys, their retention rates are insane. I was shocked that their retention rate for all customers is like 71%, or no, refis I think is 71%, and all customers is in the high 60s, compared to the most distributed retail lenders are like 20% or less. So Amber, I know you take a lot of pride in having high retention rates, doing refis. Could you just talk about that a little bit and how your thinking has changed over the past year or two?
Yeah, it's changed a lot. In 2017, I did one refinance, which is actually really embarrassing to say because I considered myself, a loan officer for life and that I would stay in touch with my database. But I was trained as a newbie loan officer that it's purchase first, pass the refinances to somebody else, focus on the realtor relationships. And so that was kind of ingrained in me. And then I sort of awoke in 2018 and was like, this is crazy. What am I doing? And I got really connected to my database, not just like monthly mailers and, parties here and there, but calling them and annual reviews and consistency in my communication and proactive communication about what they could be doing to restructure their loan. And now I have a multitude of clients, like all of you probably do, that we've done loans for now in 18, 19, and 20, which is just bonkers. And we have tight relationships, and we've gotten, really a whole lot better at our video marketing to our database, and we get great feedback. And I just feel so much more connected, and it's a much more rewarding business. And I see equally as important of loving on my database and catering to them as I do to my realtor partners. And that's the main focus, are those two things.
I love that. And guys, here's the deal. She didn't have a purchase first business in 2017. She had a purchase only business in 2017. Today, she has a purchase first business. And a metric I want everybody to think about is that you should be doing a loan for past client, 10% of your past clients annually. So if you've got 500 past clients, that's 500 loans a year. If you have a purchase first business that's performing at a high level, if you've got 1,000 past clients, that's 100 loans a year. So Amber, out of the 45 loans that you closed in July, do you know how many of them were actually past customers?
Yeah, we had, I think it was 14.
14. So, and Amber, I think from our prep call, you've got about 1,400 clients where you have their data and you can passively message them, and you got about 600 that you really pour into. Is that about right? What's the difference between the 1,400 and the 600?
The 600 are the ones that I'm calling on a regular basis. I'm doing the annual reviews for. I'm gifting to them. I'm marketing to them. The other ones are more on a email campaign, a little bit more passive.
Is there any criteria that makes someone part of the 600 versus the 1400, or is it just random?
No, we're continuing to look at our database and top grade, right? Like, who is referring us? Who do we love working with? You know, who is most likely to be doing something? And so we're looking at that monthly just to see who should be in our, you know, top clients that we're really nurturing.
Do you put them in a category in your CRM? Is there a way for you to identify
Yep.
them? What do you call
Yep.
them? Is there a term? Raving fan or?
Well, it's pretty easy. I just do client A, B, or C, so I keep it pretty simple.
A, B,
and
or
then
C?
we're just looking at them and moving them. Yeah, and our C's are more like passive ones, the ones that, you know, they're getting emails and, you know, just some communication. But the A's and B's we're really calling and nurturing and working with.
Love that. So takeaway number one from this call, guys, know how many past customers you have that you can communicate with. And then you'll notice it's a little less than 50%, about 40% of her, I've got your contact information I'm passively marketing to, is an A. And she is making sure that she's doing annual reviews for her A's, and she's making sure that they're feeling the love, that she's connected and she's there to help. So that's a big takeaway. So let's kind of back up. I mean, I've interviewed you a few times, but for anyone that hasn't heard me interview you, just tell what market you're in, a little bit about your mortgage practice and your typical mortgage production.
Yeah. So I am in Chandler, Arizona, which is right outside of Phoenix. I've been a loan officer for 16 years. I graduated college and got right into the lending industry, which is such an incredible gift. I don't know what I did to end up in this industry, but it just fits my personality like a glove. I absolutely love it. Normal production for us is more like in the 20 to 25 range. You know, our goal was to get to 30 here pretty soon, and now we've blown past that with what's going on. And I think that now that we've set this bar of doing 45, that's going to be the new goal, because going backwards doesn't feel real good. So we'll be working on systems to figure out, you know, how we can get there. And I've been part of Mortgage Coach for about a decade. So I have been in this community for a long time, and I grew up in the Mortgage Coach community. Like, I learned how to be a good loan officer, a great loan officer, an advice-based loan officer through Mortgage Coach. I listened to every one of these interviews. They were it was like my coach, basically. And so I tell all of the newer loan officers that are joining our branch that they've got to be on these calls. I would re-listen to them and pull scripts from them, because these are the top producing loan officers from across the country, giving you exactly what they're doing and saying. And so it's a huge honor to be interviewed now, knowing that this is how I built my business. So thank you again for having me.
I love it. What an incredible story, guys. And that's another footnote. It's just such a beautiful time in the mortgage business. We are the light in this difficult times that we're in. While we're super successful, we're saving a lot of families money. And it's a great time to bring new blood into the mortgage business, whether you're hiring a client concierge to help you manage your past customer database, whether you're bringing in production assistants, or whether you're hiring new junior loan officers. I want to remind folks that it's never been more obvious that the mortgage industry is a badass industry to be in. And so I hope you're out there recruiting everyone. So that's super cool. And thank you for the nice words about Mortgage Coach and the community that we are. If you're listening to this and you're new to our community, we have a YouTube channel. Subscribe to it so you get an alert when we put a new video into it. And I do have high standards. The reason it's a great community is I don't interview just anyone. I interview people that are closing 10 or more loans a month. So that's 100 or more loans a year. Yes, I interview people that are doing 200, 300, 500 loans a year. But I also will interview a top producing new loan officer that just had their first 10 loan month. Or I interviewed a guy the other day who's been doing loans for 6 months and he's closing 20 loans this month. And I'm like, what? How did you do that? So do tune in, not because of me, but because of the people that we showcase. And I will say one last thing. You have to believe advice is the way. Like, if you don't want to be a coach and an advisor, and you don't want to say to a client, my advice makes a difference, and then be able to back it up, that is not attractive to you, then our community may not be a good fit for you. So, okay, so let's get into pre-COVID, and we're in the middle of COVID. what's changed for your mortgage practice since March of 2020?
So previous to COVID, we were a very in-person based mortgage practice. So my goal was to have 80% of our clients sitting with me in my office where I'm going through my professional presentation and going through the Mortgage Coach TCA. And that obviously got halted. And so we flipped to video. So now we do all of our consultations through Zoom. And I was doing Zoom before, but it was about 20% of my business. And now I realize that I am more effective and efficient doing Zoom consultations than having people commute, drive in. Our valley is huge. It was kind of an inconvenience for them, but I felt like, oh, I'm building so much better rapport in person. But then I just got really good at my Zoom meetings. And so now I think that even when we get past all of this, I will continue to do the Zoom meetings and probably have 80% Zoom consultations and 20% in person, because it's just better for everybody. And we're in this new world, and everybody is kind of opened their eyes to now being more virtual and remote and what that looks like.
Yeah, no doubt. Grandma knows what Zoom is now, and everybody knows how to use Zoom. So whether you're using Zoom or one of their competitors, virtual connection is it's only now, like we're in a market where if you want to connect in person, you have to either use video and or Zoom or a competitor of theirs. And when we come out of this and we are meeting people in person, I do believe virtual is always going to be higher. I would ask everybody, like you just heard Amber say, I don't think I'll ever go back. Where are you at? Do you think when the world changes and we get post-COVID, you will go back to meeting as many people in person or not? And I think it's an important thing to think about, because most of you are referral-based local mortgage professionals, and you are relying on your local market to connect and do what Amazon can't do what Quicken can't do. And now that it's almost like this pure virtual experience, you don't necessarily need to be local. So you need to be more thoughtful of how are you going to connect in a unique way. And so that brings me to my next question, Amber. What are you doing to deliver that value that Amazon could never do, Quicken could never do, online lenders could never do, national platforms could never do? What are you doing to be a hyper-local loan officer in today's market?
You know, I think that it's just being really connected, right? So we got a lot better at videos since that was our form of communication. With our realtor partners, right when we got into COVID, because I still feel the same way about this, like we're so lucky to be on this side of it. Our realtors have to be out there pounding the pavement, meeting with clients. You know, they can't just sit back in their home office or their work office behind their computer screen. So for the first 8 weeks of COVID, we sent all of our top realtors like a little tiny gift and just loved on them so much. And so I think that set a really good foundation for us, especially because we haven't been as proactive in our communication as we were before, just because of the volume of loans. And so we've been doing that. And then with our database, we were sending weekly videos out, just educating them on what's going on. There was so much uncertainty and so many changes. And I think they really saw us as, you know, the trusted advisors that they needed to be connected with. I mean, since all of that communication out, I've had so many clients call me and say, I'm getting phone calls and mailers and all these things about refinancing, but I don't trust anyone except you guys. You know, please let me know what I should do. And so that's the goal, right, is to be that person that they think of like that.
I love that. So Dan Keller just weighed in. He's obviously listening to this live, said, I don't want to go back. Virtual is more efficient. And I think, how do you feel about that? Do you feel like it's more efficient? And if so, how would you quantify that?
Yeah, I mean, I can do a video consultation in about 30 minutes. I could not get my in-persons down under an hour. I love to talk to people, and so we would just, you know, talk the whole time. And yes, it was building rapport, but I've gotten really good at getting faster at it on my Zoom meetings. And so it's not even just more efficient for us, it's more efficient for the clients who are at home and they have little kids and they don't have to drag them into the office, or both spouses can be present. And so I think it'll be the new way of the future.
Agreed. So guys, keep weighing in. Dan, thanks for participating. If anybody has a question for Amber while we're live, put it down below. I'll bring it in. If you're watching the recording of this and you have a question, we'll get it answered. You know, myself or Amber, or we'll bring Amber back in an ad hoc interview. we'll get your answer. So any questions for Amber, bring it on. So I know when we did our prep call, you were also talking about how you're using video with refis and you're working at night. You know, you're making a refi TCA, you're putting a video on it. So tell us about that a little bit and how's that saving you time?
Yeah, I mean, we're still purchase first, and our purchase market is as hot as the temperatures out here in Arizona. So we are busy all day with purchases, and so the nighttime is when we really do our refinance analyses, but it's not an appropriate time to call clients. So the best thing about the TCA with video is that I can be in there, you know, grinding away on refi numbers and then do a video for them explaining the options, you know, what my suggestion is, shoot it off to them, and usually in the morning I've got a response from them saying, hey, let's do this thing. We update their information and get it locked in. I mean, we all know it's like shooting fish in a barrel right now. It's so crazy, but we've just got to get them the information. And I recorded a little video on a TCA I was doing last night, but I usually have no makeup on. I've got my blue light glasses on. Like, I'm just in the zone doing my thing, and I make it really real because it is real life. It's after the kiddos go to bed, and we try to help as many people as we can right now.
I love that. And guys, I am putting a couple links. Amber has a refi TCA that she put a video on, and she just kind of gave you some color around what she does and how she does it. We're going to cover that in a minute. And I also put link on a move up analysis. So let's talk about that. When I was asking you, like, what are some of the hot strategies in today's market, and you started telling me about move up, let's replay that conversation that we had from prep and tell us about, you know, what are some of your hot strategies in the market today?
Yeah, I mean, like most markets, our market in Arizona is incredibly low on inventory. We hit the lowest level of homes for sale that we've ever had in our market. And so it's all about creating inventory right now. And a lot of our realtor partners don't know how to do that exactly, and they need our help. And for most of us, we are much more connected to our database. We have a system for it. And so we're really having those strategic conversations with our clients about, hey, is the house you're in still working for you? I don't know if you know this, but we could be in potentially the best market we've ever seen to sell your home, to profit all of the equity that you've gained and potentially move that into your dream home. Due to all this COVID stuff, we have different needs. Maybe you need a home office. Maybe you need a little more space for the kids to play. Maybe you need a pool, whatever it is. Now could be the time to do this, right? We have had rapid appreciation. And in Arizona, we saw that vanish, right? Like, we saw this rapid appreciation back in 2005 and then, like, snapped our fingers and it was all gone. And so I don't, like, suggest that that's going to happen again, but I just mentioned, like, hey, we've seen it go away before. I don't think it's going to happen again this time, but do you want to take that monopoly money, turn it into real money that you could then invest into your dream home, right? We have record low interest rates. Do you want to see some numbers on what that would look like to potentially pull this equity and purchase a new home? I can also run some numbers for you on a refinance, and we can figure out which one's best for you, you know? And so those are conversations that we were not having before, but consumers don't really know the possibility of what's out there right now. And so that's been really fun to have these conversations where we're helping people purchase their home they maybe never thought they could have while creating inventory in our market and potentially 2 transactions for our realtor partner.
So guys, it is 9:19. We're 19 minutes into this conversation. I would recommend you write that down. And then I recommend you write down 9:15 and you re-listen to that 4-minute soundbite that just did. There was so much magic in the scripting. I'm going to help you turn that monopoly money into wealth for your family. There was just a lot of value in that. And I do think that is a big conversation in a lot of markets that mortgage professionals should be having. So your nighttime job should be supporting your past customers. Let's call it between hours. Wake up early. Like if you're Josh Metal, you're probably waking up at 3 in the morning and you're helping a lot of past customers. Amber's working late after she puts her kids to bed. And then during her day job, she's helping realtors go beyond the transaction. She's helping realtors create transactions. So let's drill down on this move up analysis. Guys, we put a link. It's called Amber's Move Up TCA. I want you to click on that, whether you're watching this in Zoom or Facebook, Amber's Move Up TCA. Amber, if you don't mind sharing your desktop, and let's go into Mortgage Coach Advice Engine. I want to show off some of the virtual superpowers that being a mortgage coach has. So in a minute, she's gonna show her advice engine, and she has the ability, it sounds like with refis, she's putting a video on it. And with purchases, so let's click on one of your TCAs, and let's do the move up TCA, the move up TCA.
Okay.
So you'll notice in the upper right-hand corner, it says record video. So if she wanted to put a video on it, she'd click that button and she can either record with her mobile phone or her desktop, and we'll cover that when we do her refi TCA. Right now, let's click on the review and highlight. If you could click on that, Amber. And Amber, do you use this feature in Zoom? Like when you're having a Zoom conversation, are you also doing Mortgage Coach Live?
Yes, I am.
By the way, if you could share your screen again, I want you to go to the very top of this one. Go to the very top real quick.
Okay.
You'll notice, guys, in the upper right-hand corner, it says 15 views. That means 15 of you are following the direction. Now, I know how many people are watching this call, and that's like less than 10%. So guys, just so you can get the experience, click on Amber's move up analysis. We'll see those little views go up, and that way you can follow along. So walk us through the strategy here, Amber.
Okay. So this is when we're having that conversation about the client about, is the home you're in the right home for you right now? And so we'll put together their current loan scenario. So this was an actual client that was talking to me about a possible refinance. So they were at 4.625 and here was their monthly payment. We looked at a refinance, so all the way down to 2.875, a new monthly payment, saving them $322 a month. But they had a need for another bedroom. They had a bonus baby, and they were crammed in their house, and they thought they were just going to ride that out. So they just needed a little bit of extra space in their house. They'd seen a house that they liked around the 525 range, so we ran it there. And at 525, the minimum down payment would be 5% for them. And so I ran it with that, because what we always try to do is see if we can qualify someone to buy before they sell, because having to sell first is hard, right? Getting contingent offers accepted in a competitive market is a struggle. So we're always going to look to see, can we qualify you with both homes? At Guild, we service our loans, so we have the ability to do a recast, which basically means they can buy their new home with a minimum down payment, then they can sell their previous home, take as much of the proceeds as they want, and put them down against the loan that we just closed, and we'll re-amortize that payment for them at no cost. So we promote that a lot because we're in a market where we need to remove as many contingencies as we can. So we'll look at 5% down and their new monthly payment. It's going up $507. But they're only putting $33,000 down on this house. So one option to look at is, okay, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, once you sell your previous home, and if you're netting about $150,000 in proceeds, if you wanted to put all of that down into the house, you could take your 525 loan or sales price down to a $373,000 loan. That's going to give you an estimated payment of $2,090, which is less than what your current payment is on your home that doesn't really fit your family needs. So that's one option. The other option would be to take the $125,000 that you got in proceeds and put it into the bank. And so we ran the analysis in Mortgage Coach to show them what that would look like, and we can come down here and show them in 15 years, if you took that $125,000 and invested it at a 6% interest rate, your net worth would be just shy of $1 million, right? So depending on what's more important to them, if it's monthly payment or cash to close and what the future looks like for them, these are some incredibly strategic and powerful conversations to have that not very many people are having with their clients.
So guys, let's think about this. This particular family, by Amber going beyond the transaction, most loan officers would have just been focused on how are we going to qualify you and how are we going to do a transaction. But she went beyond the transaction and she showed the family how they could get the home of their dreams, get the extra bedroom. They could put $125,000 in liquidity. Who doesn't want more liquidity coming out of COVID? And they could have $400,000 more in net worth in 15 years. Guys, that is mind-bending. That is a wow. And that's the difference. Here's the deal. There are bad transactions, like where a loan officer really did a bad job. There's good, there's great, and there's wow. This is wow. And this is one of the reasons why Amber never has to worry about Amazon Mortgage, competing with any other competitor because she consistently and systematically goes beyond the transaction with every family she serves. So super cool. If you have questions, put them down below. Anything else you want to cover on this? Any other nuances? And how did the family respond to this advice?
They decided to purchase a new home, and they qualified for the purchase before they sold. So the realtor got to go out and, have a really competitive client to go make an offer on, and then sell their previous home. So it was 2 transactions that were created. So that referral partner is a raving fan of us for sure.
So think about it, guys. She also, that agent got a listing and is helping someone buy a home. If you did that every month with a realtor or 2, would you do more business? Absolutely. And there's just a mountain of opportunities like this. We know people have a lot of equity. We know people want new homes. They've been in quarantine now for months. They want a new home. So I would go out there and do as many move up analysis as you can. And I would always be intentional that when you're doing the refi analysis, you consider a move up analysis. Like, does that fit with the client? And start turning your refis into move ups so you can bring deals back to your agents. What do you think about that strategy? And how do you delineate when you're going to do a pure refi TCA versus a refi plus a move up TCA?
I think it's just having that conversation with them, right? Is the house you're in still working for you? And see what they say. And if they're like, yeah, we love the house, then let's look at a refinance. But if something's changed since COVID or just whatever, then we start talking about, hey, do you want to see what this looks like, right? And so we're just having that conversation with them. And Dave brought up a great idea to me when we were doing our prep call, because I was doing virtual happy hours with my realtors in the beginning of COVID, where they were bringing me on as a guest speaker to just educate about everything that was changing and going on with mortgages and interest rates. And now I think we could do the same thing, but bring me on as a guest speaker to talk about the power of the move up right now and do kind of like an analysis like this. So that's something I'm going to be reaching out to my agents to see if they want to set up something with their clients to talk more about this in like a more group setting. So
would you be cool if I gave you some feedback? Like when you do that first one, I give you some playbook notes on how to turn that into an incredible edu-sell. You're going to educate.
Yes.
And you're going to sell. So let's do that. And then let's jump on Zoom and record for the mortgage coach community how it went. Would you be game with committing to plan 2? Okay, cool. So stay tuned on that. And any mortgage coach members out there that are, whether it's Facebook Live, whether it's Zoom, you're partnering with agents, you're getting families into that one-on-many opportunity virtually, and you're educating them on the opportunities of moving up, and you're using a total cost analysis. I'm looking for success stories. So if you're doing that, share in comments down below. So something else I wanted to just call out watching Amber. You notice how she's framed in the screen? We could see her eyes. Did you notice how she went from sharing her screen, and then I didn't even have to tell her when we weren't talking about something visually, she just stopped sharing. So we went from we're teaching you something on the chalkboard to we're connecting. Amber is she's a wow. Like, remember, there's bad. Bad is not having the camera turned on. And even if you're a leader and you're doing a company event, I go to too many company events where I see not enough pictures of people and I see too many name tags. That's bad. Like, if you're not turning on the camera and connecting with people on a human level, I think that's bad leadership internally in the company and externally. It's not to say there's not some exceptions where you don't want to turn on the camera. That's cool. But the majority of the time you're turning on the camera, that's good. And then when people can see your eyes and people can connect with you, that's good. And when you're going back and forth from sharing things to connecting, that's a wow. So I would push everybody to get to be a wow salesperson, mortgage advisor in today's virtual world. All right, so let's transition to refis. So you walked us through a move up TCA. Let's say it's just a pure refi situation. What questions are you asking? And assuming you ask hey, are you happy with your home? And they're like, love it, we're good to go. What other questions are you asking in the refi? And then let's walk everybody through a refi TCA.
Yeah. So on the refinance, we're really talking to them about if you had your crystal ball, how long do you think you're going to be in this property for? What are your goals with this refinance, right? We're pulling their credit report. We're seeing what potentially their credit card debt looks like. We're talking to them about the future. I mean, if someone needs to do some debt consolidation, now could be the most amazing time, right, to lock in at these incredibly low interest rates and get themselves back to a fresh start. So really digging deep on what are the goals with the refinance. And I think that the great thing that I've always thought about Mortgage Coach is that it's our opportunity to present something to them that they didn't even know existed. So I'm asking them what they want, but then I'm digging into like, here's what I think might be best for you, and putting an option on the TCA that they maybe didn't even ask about, right? So that's how I make them realize that they need me in their life, because I am better at mortgages than they are, because consumers kind of think that they know everything now, right? With internet and Google, they have all this information, and I want them to see that I am the true expert and I'm going to professionally advise them.
So catch what she said right there. This is how you become the hyper local mortgage professional, is you have to go what's beyond Google. You have to go beyond what they can get on their own, and you have to deliver advice and insight that they couldn't get on their own. So they're like, wow, I never thought of it like that before. Whoa, I never thought of this. And I would push everybody to go beyond that. If you want to deliver the best financial advice experience that family ever had, you're competing with the CPA, the financial planner, the life insurance agent, the realtor, everybody that helps a family build wealth. You beat them. You deliver a better experience. So let's talk about how you do that with refis. And when you're ready to share the screen, walk us through a refi experience from Amber, Kovarik, and team.
Okay, yeah. And so I always tell my clients too, like if they're talking to a Quicken or an online lender, they're not having conversations with them about their time in the home and should they pay points or not pay points and what's the recoup period. And so that's how I can like poke holes in different competitors that are trying to, steal my clients away from me. So this was an example of a refinance TCA. So I always put their current mortgage information on here so we can easily compare. And then I'm going to look at just what would a rate and term refinance look like. This client did not need any cash out. They just wanted to strictly lower their monthly payment and benefit from the lower interest rate. So from 4.875 to 3.25, their credit score was not over 740. And so I could show them, I was able to save them $529 a month. I mean, that is a huge amount of money. This is probably one of my records of the most that I've been able to save someone, but I was blown away. And then I'll run an analysis for them as well to show them what it would look like if they took that $529 savings, continued to make the same payment that they were making before, and how much faster they would pay down their mortgage. So if that's a goal of theirs, what could they potentially save and create for themselves in wealth? So in this example, they would be able to pay their house off almost 8 years sooner by paying the same payment that they've been paying right now. And so this is just going that one step beyond. So if they are getting, bombarded by the Quickens and, the mailers and whatever, they're not having this conversation with them, and they're sure as heck not putting together a TCA. They might even, send them a loan estimate. And so they really enjoy these conversations and knowing what the different options are.
Okay, so beyond the transaction. So not going beyond the transaction would be giving a fee worksheet saying you could close 529 loans, $529 a month. And in this particular case, you probably would have got a, let's go. Like that's a lot of money. That's enough savings. Maybe they would rate shop you and they would be comparing you to another lender that has an 1/8 or a quarter or 3/8 better in rate. And that's the battle you're in. But Amber doesn't wait for the rate shopping battle. She always goes beyond the transaction. She shows, hey, what if you reinvested it? In this case, it would save you you'd pay off your house in 21.25 years. Ask the family, how cool would it be to have your house paid off? And don't just say 9 years faster, call out the age. Like, you kind of know where people are at. What would that do to your life? I want you to scroll down a little bit, because another part of going beyond the transaction is showing that over time. So showing it over 60 months, and then let's scroll down one more time and showing it over a longer period of time where it becomes tens of thousands of dollars, massive amounts of savings. So super important that you guys go beyond the transaction. Another beyond the transaction move is the video. Tell us why you put videos on refis and tell us a little bit about what you put in those videos.
Well, if you don't do a video, then you've really got to be there, in my opinion, typing out all the information about the refinance, what options you presented and why, and the recoup period and all of that. In a video, you can communicate it so much easier to them. And so I'm talking to them about that. Like, this is why I put these options together for you. This is the one I think makes the most sense. This is going to be your recoup period for your investment into the refinance. And just educating them on what the next steps are, what I need from them if they want to do this. And again, I can do it all like after hours, so it's just so much more efficient for me. And the clients love that they can watch a short, 1 to 2 minute video and get a whole summary of what their options look like.
So going beyond the transaction on a refi not only improves your conversion, it's a time efficiency. Notice she could do this at any hour of the day, early in the morning, end of the day. She could put the TCA together and throw a video on it. How long does it take you to create a TCA?
A couple minutes.
So let's go into the advice engine real quick. I want to just give you guys a little tour of where you input a mortgage coach report. If you could show it on your screen and show the advice engine. Remember, guys, if you have questions for Amber, put them down below. We've got about 24 minutes left. Let's do first thing, click on settings in the upper right-hand corner, settings. So guys, if you have not clicked on this, click on it. You can see that Amber has created 2,455 total cost analysis. So she's a red belt. She's done this a lot. Amber, if you could click on that little box just to the right of your red belt. And here's the deal, guys, whether you're a black belt at mortgage advice with a mortgage coach because you've done 300 TCAs, or you're a white belt, you're still giving families fee worksheets. We just log in, be part of the community, and we'll turn you into an orange belt. We'll turn you into a blue belt. Watch one of our YouTube videos. When you think of our platform now, while we have this social media platform that's available to anyone, we take our best videos and we build them into the advice engine so that we're like spoon feeding you from orange belt to blue belt. Amber, that's a question I have for you. Think of any new loan officer that's on this call or like a new team member. How did you learn Mortgage Coach, and how would you advise people to learn Mortgage Coach?
I just dug in and made it a commitment that I was going to do a mortgage coach for every single client. And once you do it, you go, how did I ever run my business without this before? And I just had a new team member join my team. And so last week I, gave him the link to watch the mortgage coach tutorials on how to do it. And the next day he was creating refinance TCAs for me. And so he just learned, right from those videos and jumped in, and now he knows that that's the requirement. Every refinance analysis we do, has a TCA with it, and we send that off to the client. And he was blown away at the software because he had never seen it before. And I was like, I know, it's fantastic.
So he learned it quickly, like couple days, couple videos. And I would push any manager on this call, whether you have a team, whether you're a branch manager, you're in a position where you can make a decision and tell people this is the standard, like this is the line. It really is that simple. All they got to do, and again, fast learners can learn a TCA in less than 10. People that don't have good keyboard skills and don't like technology, they can learn it by 10 to 20 times. So it's just a question of the pain of learning, but you could do it anywhere from days, no more than 2 weeks. Would you agree with that?
Oh, for sure. And I think that once you go beyond the transaction on the first transaction with them, so they're coming to you for a purchase and you do this mortgage coach for them and you advise them on their options and you give them choices that they didn't even know were possible, you build this trust with them for life so that when they come to do their refinance, they only trust you because you gave them so much value up front. So spending that extra time to build your TCA and have that professional presentation with them means that on the next go around for their next purchase or refinance, they're already committed to you is what I've seen because we showed them so much value the first go around.
I love that. Well, and that's one of the principles and call it the science of Mortgage Coach. When you give people options, they pick one of the options and now they own it. There's more ownership they have in the transaction. And when you show people the cost over time, you're showing transparency. They trust you. It's different than what most loan officers do. So there's a gap between your value and other people's value. And let's just face it, it's more valuable to the client when they're seeing things like, I have a higher net worth in 15 years moving up. When they see things like prepay the mortgage and save the difference, you're just more valuable. Like you are delivering personalized, customized value. So there's been a little chatter here. So Tony Blodgett said, I've always liked virtual meetings via video connection. I'm just glad everyone has embraced this out of necessity. And he thinks we'll see this going forward. Feel free to put more questions below. Eric here asked for a link to what you gave to new loan officers. So Amber, after the call, do you mind taking the link that you gave to your team and putting that in our Facebook comments?
Yep, not at all.
And then Eric, I will also have someone from our training team put a link to our new loan officer playlist. Now, the new loan officer playlist at Mortgage Coach, it goes beyond Mortgage Coach. I mean, it's like top producer training, and it's a lot of content. I mean, it's like it's like Harvard for loan officers. So it's a multi-week playlist, but we'll give you a good quick start playlist. So you just want to learn how to use Mortgage Coach playlist. If you want to put them through the Mortgage Coach Harvard University training playlist, we'll put both of those. Someone else, Ron, just asked, what is the biggest obstacle getting set up with no time right now? Wish I could pay extra to hire and set up a TCA. So any advice on that?
Yeah, I would say just stick with it because literally it takes me like 2 minutes to create a TCA because I just put in their current loan information on a refinance and then I have fee templates set up. So, I mean, it's just so quick to put it together. It takes me less time to do a TCA with a video than it would take me to put this, loan in my system, do a loan estimate, and type everything out, about the scenario to the client. And so I would just make it a commitment. You just have to be committed to it and say, I'm going to do it on every single one. You'll be a little slower initially, and then it'll go so much faster, and you'll have such a higher conversion that you'll be so glad that you invested the time.
And I know, guys, I'm Mr. Mortgage Coach, but I am not kidding you. I've interviewed so many top producers. My favorite quote was Jeremy Forcier, who I think he closed over 70 loans last month. And he's like, for every 5 minutes in Mortgage Coach, it saves me 30 minutes of either repeating the same question over and over, having to tell someone else what I already told someone else. So it's like 5 minutes in Mortgage Coach is 30 minutes of time savings for Jeremy. What about you? How much time savings do you think Mortgage Coach gives you on a per transaction basis?
I would agree with that. I think that that is like spot on. And it's not even like the time savings too. Like on a purchase TCA, we, email it to the client and we CC the realtor on it. And so they think it's the coolest thing ever because not very many people do it or send it to them. And so it makes us that even stronger advisor to that realtor partner. So it's time saving. It helps build trust with the client and the referral partner. So it's just so worth the investment of time to learn it.
All right, so let's talk about other platforms that you're using to go beyond the transaction. Mortgage Coach is how you deliver advice at the point of sale. It's how you do annual reviews and present refi and move-up options. I know you're using House Happy and HomeBot. Could you speak to why you use those two platforms and how they deliver value for you?
Yeah, I mean, HomeBot is a game changer. Clients love HomeBot. I mean, I get emails all the time just thanking me for having them in this program, and they read it and they look at it. And so that is the easiest, I think, client and best client retention tool that I've seen out there because of the content it's providing. It's what everybody wants and how interactive it is. And so we're doing HomeBot and partnering with my realtors too. So I got to ask the team how many refinances we've gotten just from our realtor partners, their clients asking about it. But it's so easy, and now Mortgage Coach is integrated with HomeBot, so you can have it automatically create a TCA and send it to the client. So, asking about, I wish someone could do it for me, HomeBot does it for you when you have that connection. So that is definitely something that I would look into. And then we use House Happy as well, which is kind of like a concierge for your clients for their home. And it is super slick, and once you get set up on it, every client gets that email automatically after closing. So it's just another little gift, added value that we're giving them. And I recently did a refinance for one of my top realtor partners, and he called me and he was like, I need to set up a time to meet with you. He was like, I have never seen anyone more dialed in. Like, I want to replicate what you have for my clients. He's like, I get the videos, the analysis, I get the house happy. Now I'm getting this HomeBot introduction email, and it's all automated, but it makes me look really good.
Love this, guys. So any questions you have, put them down below. I want to hear some scripting on how you position Mortgage Coach, HomeBot, and House Happy in the sales process. Because I mean, this is what you're doing. I don't know if you know that you're doing this, but you're a local, hyper local mortgage professional that's fintech enabled. You've taken some of the best fintech companies in the mortgage industry, Mortgage Coach, House Happy, HomeBot, and you've made them part of your platform. So you don't have to worry about Quicken Mortgage because you've fintech enabled loan officer. How do you communicate that to the family, and how do you communicate that to the realtor? Because you're not all techie, and it's not about the tech, it's about the service and the strategy. So I want to hear, what's it sound like? How do you position it, and how do you tell those stories?
When I'm doing the consultation with the client, I'm just explaining to them kind of what makes us different. And so I'm letting them know what it's going to look like even after the loan closes, because for most companies, after the loan closes is when they disappear because they're transactional. And I just let them know, hey, after the loan closes, this is what this is going to look like. We've subscribed to a concierge program for your home. We're going to be sending you a monthly update of your home value that's completely interactive, and we'll let you play with the numbers and communicate with us, through the platform. And then I let them know we're going to be calling you every year on your anniversary. We're going to be inviting you to parties. And I'm letting them know that this is not the end of the relationship. And I'm telling them that in the beginning so that they know why we're different. Because if they're talking to other lenders, they are not going to hear that same thing. And we really promote the fact that we're local. And in this competitive environment, I let them know that by having my pre-approval letter, it's going to help your chances of getting an offer accepted. And we are on the same side as your realtor and doing everything we can to help you win your offer. So we call the listing agent when you submit your offer. We send a video with the pre-approval letter, letting the listing agent know everything we put you through to make sure that you are qualified and that you're going to be able to close. You've got our strong pre-approval letter. Everything we do here is local. So I'm helping them, explain that to them as well.
Love this, guy. So I want to show a few things on my screen right now because I want to make sure this really hits home. And then, Amber, we're going to do your rate lock script. So this is a post that I put in our Facebook group this morning. And I actually found this quote over the weekend. There was a conversation in LinkedIn about Zillow and, just Quicken, Zillow, and these mega players. And it reminded me, I attended Inman's event in New York in 2017, and I took a bunch of pictures, I took a lot of notes. And this was a note that I took in 2017 when the founder of Zillow was on stage, and he said, and again, I didn't make these words up, this is paraphrased, literally a transcription of what he said: the agent of the future is a coach and advisor to home buyers and sellers. And he used the word coach like multiple times, like their coach, their coach, their coach. And when you listen to Amber, that's what she's doing. She's a coach to her clients and her realtors. And it really is, guys, it really is this simple, that to be a coach, to be a mortgage coach, you have to deliver the 3 essentials of a smart mortgage decision. When a family gets into debt, they get options. If you're not giving a family options every single time, you're not a coach. You're not an advisor. You are a transaction loan officer. If you're not showing them the cost over time, not only is that being a coach, it's being a super strategic salesperson. When you can show people, like average LOs show you your monthly difference, I show you the cost over 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, the times that matter to you. And then again, if you're not giving people strategies, like going beyond the transaction, if it's a refi, always show invest the difference. If it's a move up, always show the value of putting less money in the down, building your liquidity, and what's the best way to build wealth through real estate. Like, if you're not doing that, you're not being a mortgage advisor and a mortgage coach. You agree with that?
Yes, 100%.
All right, guys, we got 10 minutes left. We are going to put a link. We just had Yvette say, how do I connect with HomeBot? I'm going to put a how to turn on the HomeBot integration. You do need to be a mortgage coach member and a HomeBot member. We're not affiliated companies. We have an integration, but we'll put a link on how to turn that on, but you have to be a mutual customer to use that. So let's do the rate lock, because I think that's a big deal right now. People are locking in rates, and then, oh, rates go lower, I want the lower rate. That's a pain point in today's market. So give us your rate lock script.
Yeah, it's definitely a pain point, especially because refinances are taking longer. We're running about 60 days right now, and that's a lot of time for the market to move and a lot of mailers and phone calls that our clients are going to be getting. And so it all sets up from the beginning, right? Having that good consultation with them, advising them. And then when you go to lock the interest rate, I'm like, okay, hey, Mr. Client, we can lock you in at 2.875 today. Do we want to go ahead and secure that rate? And when they say yes, I say, okay, let me explain to you what it means to lock in your interest rate. So what that means is that we're going to secure this interest rate at 2.875, and we are no longer playing the market. So if interest rates go up in 3 days, I'm not going to call you and say, oh, shoot, sorry, your rate is 3.25 now. Same thing, you can't call me in 3 days and say, hey, I heard that interest rates went down. Can I please get that lower interest rate? And I explained to them that you've got to put your blinders on, your fingers in your ears, like don't pay attention to what's going on. We're locking you in at this rate because you're happy, you're committed to it. We're going to get this closed for you. We're going to protect your rate, and we're really excited to help you with this transaction, And so we have that. And then what that is it's an anchor. So if they do call us back in a month because they kind of forgot and they heard all this news about interest rates dropping, we can anchor them back to that conversation and say, oh my gosh, I totally understand why you're asking. Do you remember when we locked you in, we had that conversation about what it means to lock an interest rate? It hasn't changed. I am so sorry. I would love to give you a lower rate, but we committed to that rate. We got to, follow through on our commitment. Again, we're really excited to help you with this. We're getting closer to the finish line, and we anchor them back. And it works almost every time. Not every single time, because in the percentage of the population, typically how it goes is that 15% of the population are the ones that want the cheapest. They don't care about value. They don't care about relationship. They literally just want the cheapest. And then there is 80% of the population that cares about value and relationship, and you can trust them, and they're the ones that will follow through on that. And then you have 5% that are the ones that almost like to pay more because they feel like some ego around it. So that means that 85% of the population are our people, the people that want the advice, that trust us. And so when that script doesn't work, that's usually because they're in the 15%, and we just have to let them go, right? Because they weren't really our client. That's not how we're set up to be.
So guys, what you just heard, and one of the reasons why she is so successful, is she knows how to navigate constructive tension. I mean, you can't close 45 loans a month unless you're a good team leader. Like, you need to know how to run a team to close 45 loans in a month. And you need to know how to be a great leader with people and have constructive tension conversations. And I know a lot of new loan officers would feel uncomfortable with that conversation. It's not a comfortable conversation to have. Guys, you need to make that a comfortable conversation to have, or else it festers, it creates dysfunction, and you can't scale. And by the way, you're not serving the client either. And I love that analogy around the 5% want to pay more. That's why there's a Neiman Marcus. People, that's why there's a Ferrari. There's a percentage of population that's cheapest. I don't want it. And then there are a percentage that are doing it themselves, and they're gonna need the lowest price. They want to do their own loan for themselves. And if you're a referral-based local mortgage professional, that's probably not going to be where you're going to scale your market. And then here's the last thing I would tell everybody on this. If you want to serve that 85% and that 5%, you need to go beyond the transaction. You need to be a fintech-enabled loan officer. And if all you're doing is solving problems, closing loans, you may get away with that with some people, because 15% of the people, no matter what you say and how you say it, you were the first one there, they do the loan with you. There's going to be a percentage of people, no matter what you say and how you say, you're never going to win it. The best salespeople deliver a value platform so that they optimize their success, which you're clearly doing. All right, guys, if you have any questions, bring them. We've got 5 minutes left. Someone just asked a question about how many team members that you have and what their titles are. Could you just give us a high-level overview of your team?
Yeah, so I have 4 people on my team. I have a team manager, and then I have a loan partner, I call her, who handles most of the incoming calls. And then I have a pre-approval manager. And I just hired a second pre-approval manager, so he's been with me 30 days, so we're getting him all trained up. So we are like grossly understaffed right now. Everyone is working a ton of hours, and so one of my biggest challenges as a leader has been to keep everybody, you know, engaged and excited, because it's very easy to get tired and like beaten down right now. And so we're, you know, just working hard to accomplish the same goal right now and looking to hire quickly.
And when it comes to the total cost analysis, what percentage of the time do you have a team member creating it, doing the setup for you, versus you doing the setup? How does that work?
Yeah, so my pre-approval manager builds all of my purchase TCAs for me. So when my loan partner gets a consultation scheduled for me, it gets passed to the pre-approval manager. He is going to review docs, you know, cross the T's, dot the I's, build my mortgage coach, put notes in my CRM for me. So he just tees me up. I go in at the exact time the consultation's starting, and I just kind of pull everything up and just rock and roll through it. So he's got those all built for me, and then it's so easy on the fly to make changes. So a lot of times clients change their mind from the time of the initial conversation to the consult, and I'll just go in and make all the changes and kind of customize it to our conversation, but at least the foundation is there. And then I'm doing a lot of the, you know, refinance ones that I'm doing at night.
Got it. And so for any teams out there that haven't adopted Mortgage Coach, it really is that simple to say, hey guys, this is the standard. Mm-hmm. We're going to do it for the next 30 days. We'll review results, but you just set the standard, have someone on your team that can create TCAs, and then you can tell Amber augments. She does some of them, they do some of them. I've done a lot of interviews where the loan officer doesn't do any of them. His team does them all. And then Jeremy Forcier, who personally did 120 TCAs last month, and he closed, you know, a ridiculous amount of loans. So there's a lot of different ways of doing that. What would you say to whether it's a new loan officer or a loan officer that doesn't have the kind of production to have a team, but they're just a solo individual LO and mortgage coach? What would you say to them on how to adopt it, and what advice would you have for that solo LO?
You know, I think it's just being committed to it, right? Just making it what you do on every transaction, because once you start doing it, you'll see the value in it. You'll see the raving fans that you create. I mean, the feedback I get from my clients all the time when I'm going through this with them in our consultations, it's crazy. Like, they eat it up. They absolutely love it. They're always like, oh my gosh, I've never seen anything like this before. And one client was like, wow, things have really changed since I bought my last house. I've never seen anything, you know, like this analysis software. And I was like, oh, well, it's not that things have changed. It's just this is something that I invest in to give you the best client experience, you know? And so once you start hearing that feedback, you'll be committed.
Love that, guys. There's another little ninja move. It's not the standard. This is something I do, I invest in to give extra value to my client. She's always going beyond the transaction, and she knows how to elegantly highlight that and point that out to her clients. So this has been an awesome interview. One last challenge I have to the mortgage industry as we think about going beyond the transaction is I want to push everybody on this call to go beyond. You all know how many loans you closed. You know how much money you made. You probably know what your reviews were, like what was my customer satisfaction rating. I want you to start thinking about how much money did I save people this month? Like, how much value did I bring? I want you to know how many past customers did I do a loan for? Like, if you don't know every month, and if you're not celebrating how many families you've reserved, you're costing yourself money and you're not going to show up the same. And if you're not tracking your savings, and I want to see you guys, I want to push the industry to start tracking about how much did we help people grow their net worth and celebrate that. So let's go beyond the transaction in the metrics that we manage. So we are at the top of the hour. Any parting words or thoughts before we wrap it?
Just thank you again for having me. If anyone needs anything, you can always reach out to me. I love helping and supporting the mortgage coach community that gave so much to me. So thank you.
Thank you, Amber. And let's get on the calendar to do a prep. We'll do one prep call before your one-to-many event with a realtor. And then we'll do an interview where we share takeaways and what you did and how you did it. Sound good?
Love it. Yes. Great. Thank you.
Amber, thank you so much for an hour of your time. Mortgage Coach community, I hope you got value. Give us a like. Be sure to like this on whatever social channel you're in. If you're a manager, share this with your team. Watch this with your team. Upgrade your team. So have a good day, everybody. This call's a wrap.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.